Okay, so as I was saying, these are the files that you did see last week, and you should know what they are. So program.cs, remember, it's the default starting point of your application. So when you run your application, it goes to program.cs. Inside program.cs, which is a static class, there is a static method called main. And inside main, it kind of runs your form. We also have started following some conventions, and I'm following the conventions that the book is following. So please stay with me, right? If you would like it to be any different, it's up to you. It's up to you what you want to do, but be consistent. So our convention, the convention I am following is every object that I create, I'm going to put the type of the object as a three-lettered word in front of it in small case, right? So form will have FRM, labels will have LBL, text boxes will have TXT, radio buttons will have RDO, and so on. Otherwise, the name of any object that you create, we've used Pascal case convention. And names of variables, which we haven't even done yet, we'll use camel case conventions. Okay, so names of classes, names of methods will all be Pascal case convention. So following the convention that I've done, if you like, you can follow another convention. You can go hello world form. You can put the word form at the end. But I would like you to do it. I would like the name of the object, the type of the object in your name, whether you put it at the end or whether you put it in the beginning, right? So I have followed both conventions, putting the whole word form at the end, like hello world form. I've done that a couple of semesters. And just because I'm following a different book this semester, I thought I'll stick with it. Okay, so that's up to you, whatever you want to do with the type of the object. But otherwise, definitely we'll follow Pascal naming conventions in naming our objects. So that won't change, right? That's kind of universal. But the form is, the type of the object is all over the place. So basically, a form is a window. If you remember from last week, when you run this application and a window appears on the screen, and the window for now will look like this because we've put some objects in it. So your window is a container, your form is a container. It contains, if you notice, three labels and 4 buttons, right? So we did create these objects because, worked on it a little. So with the form, if you want to run it for a minute, we had changed a few properties. They're called properties. If you want to relate it to Java, these are instance variables, right? So the properties of this form, we had changed a few properties. One, we said the default start position will be center of the screen. So it's appearing in the center of the screen. We said you could not resize using the sizing handles. So I gave it a form border style of fixed. So you can change the size. The minimize button will still work, but notice how the maximize button is disabled. It's grayed out because I said I don't want to use the maximize button. The reason that I did not want to use the maximize button or the sizing handles was that I didn't want to change the appearance of my form. If I don't do that, it kind of looks odd. I'll show you how it looks odd in a minute. Also, I had changed the text property of my form. I don't want to see form 1 here. You can definitely change the icon if you like. There is an icon property too. Right? So this is what we did with the form. And then we placed a few labels on the form. The welcome to C# is a label. My name on the right-hand side, bottom corner is a label. They're just labels for information's sake. So I didn't bother to change the names of these objects. You could if you like, nothing stops you. Also, I did create a label. This is again a label. I gave it a border so that it looked like a text box, but it's again a label. Information can only appear in it. You can't enter anything in it. That's what a label is. That's how it is different from a text box, right? So I gave it a border so that I could see it. You could see it. Also, then we placed 4 buttons. Looks like my English button size is different from my other buttons. So we'll change that. I placed some buttons on the form. Keep in mind, when you create a user interface, UI for short, the user interface should be neat, clean, and user-friendly, right? We haven't yet talked about user-friendly yet. A feature of user-friendly would be maybe create shorthand keys for my buttons. So I don't have any shorthand keys, but if I could do an Alt-E for English and Alt-S for Spanish, Alt-P for print and Alt-X for exit maybe, that would be user-friendly, right? And if I could set a tab order means I could use my tab key and jump from one object to the other, that would be good too. So we'll learn to do those things also today. But as per se, from here, if you notice the first thing that kind of looks a little out of place is the size of the English button. So I must have done something at that point of time. So to show you how the maximize button works, so if you click on the form, the properties will come on the right hand side. You can look at the properties alphabetically if that's how you want to work. I work that way, but it's up to you, or you can look at it category wise. So if I go to the maximize button and change it back to true and run it again, F5 is another short form of running it. Notice now I can do this and it starts to look odd. So you see why I changed my maximize button to false. Yeah. So I don't want to change the appearance on that. So these are things that you have to keep in mind. So now Windows form presentation I could have done better. Do you remember I said there was another way? But still 80% of all applications in government organizations are still using Windows Forms application. So we are sticking to that. But eventually, maybe in a couple of years, everything I think will shift to Windows Forms application, just because they have more features, they give a better experience, and you can take care of situations like this where things will automatically scale to the size of the form, which you do in your HTML and CSS web pages. You use CSS to do that. So that's the additional advantage of WPFs. So I mean that was the main reason, and I hope you understand it. That was the main reason of changing this from true to false. Similarly with size, if I don't change my form border style and I say sizable, which was its default, so you should know why you are doing what you are doing. So now if I do this, see, I mean, it does not scale. So if it does not scale, it kind of looks untidy. It does, right? So that's the reason that I said give it a fixed border style, and I said the maximize button is false. I don't want to use my maximize box property in this one. Those are the reasons. So whatever you do, please see that you understand why and the purpose of doing it. So that was the reason. So having done that, we'll come back to from sizable, we'll change it back to fixed single if you like, fixed 3D, fixed dialog, they're the same thing, whatever you like, okay? Okay, so let's come and improve this a little, write code for this form, make it more user-friendly, add shorthand keys and so on. The first thing that I'll do is, since it doesn't look too nice, I'm going to take this whole, you can select them together and kind of, you know what, the English one is already, so it won't help. Okay, so we'll have to do something else then. What's the size of this button? Oh, we didn't even change their names yet. So we'll do that, 65 to 28. Sometimes, I mean, the only way is to find out what the size of the other button is. 65 to 28, it's, oh, not the location, oops. Not the location, the size. And do it together because they're of different sizes right now. Oh, no, so something is wrong. I picked up the wrong. Sometimes you can try your luck, but it's always usually better that you know what's going on. 114, 13, 31, 114, 31. There we are. Now they're okay. Now, so if you wanted to change the size together, you could just select them together. Though they're neat enough. I don't find anything wrong with their sizes, but this would be better that you select them together. And then now if you change their size, it changes for all the buttons. So that's what I would like you to do. Okay. Okay, so the buttons are ready. If you remember again, there is an auto size property with the label. So I did call it label message, right? Which again, LBL for label and message is the name. And there is an auto size property, which I changed to false. So by default, a label will have its auto size property as true. True means the size of the label depends upon its contents. So whatever you put inside the label will adjust to that particular size. Okay. So I chose, because I wanted to give it a different size, I just said I'll say auto size is false, and then I use the sizing handles to size it however I want. To kind of make it visible. Like if it doesn't have a border, it will be there, but you will not see it. If you don't like it, you don't have to. I also gave it a border style, right? I gave it a border style. So I changed a few properties of this label, but with this, I didn't even bother to change the name. I didn't even do that. I said, you know what? I'm not going to use it in my programming. So I left it at label 1. So it's your decision. You could if you like. I could have said label heading if I wanted. Like if you want to, but I'm not looking at labels that are fixed in their information. So the heading is fixed and my name is fixed on the right hand side, but this message label will change, right? Since it will change and I'll have to program it, my logic is When I click on the English button, hello world appears in English. And when I click on the Spanish button, hello world appears in Spanish. I think I looked it up and I've forgotten it again. Hello something, MUNDU, hello mundo, whatever you, I mean, the accent is of course wrong, right? Okay, now let's do a few things. One, go to your English button and change its name. So we'll start with BTN for button, 3-lettered. It's up to you. You could use the whole word button at the end, but I'll go with this and I will stick with this. So be consistent. And what would you like to call it? It says English on it. And you know what? We can call it button English. That way we'll kind of remember it. Okay. So we'll say English, button English. That's the name of your instance variable, right? That's the name of your button object. So your button object will now be called button English. Okay, so that's what it is called. Notice how automatically if you change it, it changes it at the property, and it's telling you this is coming from the class called button from the package called system.windows.forms. So in Visual C#, we call them namespaces. In Java, we call them packages. So there is a namespace called system.windows.buttons, right? And this object is an object of that particular class. So you don't have to memorize it. It always appears here, but you should be aware what it is trying to tell you here. So in its property, it is saying that I belong to the button class, which appears in this namespace, right? That's the namespace. System.windows.forms is the namespace. So please do this for all the buttons. We'll go to the Spanish. And since we are at the same, then we don't have to kind of toggle around. So a good thing is put your buttons and then change all its name properties. That way we are kind of at the same place. Bless you. Go to the print button. Notice I'm following Pascal case convention in naming my objects. That's why I'm doing it. So print is P is capital, Spanish S was capital, and this is called Pascal case convention. The first letter of every word is capitalized. Okay. And button print, and we'll call this a button exit. So whatever you do, please see that you follow one convention throughout your project. If you're going to use the complete word buttons and label or whatever, and putting it at the end, then you should have it everywhere in your code. Don't mix and match, please. I leave the convention to you. It would be nice if you follow the convention I'm following, but it's up to you, right? And again, as I said, I did follow the other one. I've just switched to this one this semester because the book follows this convention. So all their slides and everything will say this, so why confuse you? And it's a convention, it's a valid convention. Okay, so now my buttons are ready. Their names are ready, their sizes, if you wanted to change them, sure, but I think we're okay. We can see the whole, everything that's on the button. That's another thing you must remember. Don't create an interface that's not even, that you can't even read. Something like, for example, this. Like, what's that? It doesn't make sense, right? So creating a user interface is as important as creating the code behind it. So the user interface should be friendly, neat, clean, right? So let's now talk about a little friendly things. Now, if I wanted to create shorthand keys, they're called, right? They're called, or keyboard access keys. All it means is instead of using your mouse in clicking a button, you can use the keyboard in selecting a button. So these are called keyboard access keys, or also shorthand keys. And in visuals, in C#, it's as simple as this. So if for the English button, you wanted to create E as the shorthand key, notice how the shorthand keys appear. If you look at your, you'll have to press the Alt key. Unfortunately, that's what you see. Notice how F has a shorthand key, keyboard access key. I can click on this, or I can do Alt F, and it will open. Those are called keyboard access keys, right? So every IDE has it, right? Every IDE has it. So you could either use your mouse to go to it, like this, or so Alt to C, or you can do an Alt V to go to view, and it will open. Then you can go to Alt M, for example. It tells you Alt M to go to Team Explorer. So that's what I'm trying to create now. So since it is a common practice, you don't see it till you press the Alt key. Unfortunately, that's how it works. It's been like that for years, right? So if you press the Alt key on your keyboard, you will notice that how in your menu up there, every menu item has a shorthand keyboard access. And I'm trying to do the same now. And it's as easy as this. Go to your button now. Now the first thing is which controls should have a shorthand. Does it make sense to have welcome to C# a shorthand key? No, useless. It's just a label, right? My name have a shorthand key? No. The controls that you work with, that you want to use, should have shorthand keys. So for right now in our interface, there are 4 buttons, and these 4 buttons the user will use them, right? There's nothing else that can be clicked. So these are the 4 controls that I'll give keyboard access keys to. So select your button, go to the text property. Remember the text property, what it says, and all you have to do is put an and in front of it. In front of the letter you want the shorthand key to be, just an and. As simple as that. So since I want E to be the shorthand key, put an and ampersand in front of the E key. You will notice that it appears here, right? For print, try to use something that's kind of common, but not used necessarily by the system. P. Spanish, I'm making it S. So not in front of the word, but in front of the, so suppose in X, I wanted to make X the shorthand key. I'm trying to make the same as what you see in Windows. Notice how you have, if you go to Alt F4. Oh, I'll show you how to do this too. You can also create another way. You can create short keyboard access keys like this, and you can also create shorthand keys like this. Alt F4, Control S, Control P for print. We'll do that too. I'll show that too. That can be done too. So you have 2 options. You can either kind of just use the shorthand key, or you can use a shorthand keyboard combination, and I'll show you how to do that. It's as simple as this. If you come, the property is called it will come to me when I see it. Okay, it will come. I'll tell you. I can't remember the name of the property. When it comes, I'll show you how to do it. Okay, so now all my 4 key buttons have shorthand access keys. To use them when the program runs, to use them, all you will do is Alt and E, and it's same as clicking the English button. Alt and X will exit your code when you write the code. So right now, none of these buttons are working. There's nothing. It's just a form. So if you run it using F5, so, and you press the Alt key to see them, please. You have to do that. See, they appear. So none of these are working right now. Clicking these buttons has no effect. So because I haven't written code behind it, right? I haven't made it operational. I've only created an interface. So my interface is ready. Now I want to make it operational. And that's where my coding will come into view. So it works fine. So let's see now how to code it. Short something, PQRST, short MN, I can't remember. It will, no, it's not short. Okay, it will, use mnemonic, I think, no, okay. Sometimes it just doesn't click. Okay, let's now see how to write the code. Also, don't forget that this design file that you're creating, it's designing, right? This design file has a .cs file behind the scenes. So if you open it now, and maybe it will make more sense now. So this is the file that got created while you were creating, and it's called partial class because it's part of your class. It's not the complete class. You have 2 parts. One, the design, and one, the code. So both will have the word partial in front of it. So the class is called form hello world, and there are a few statements that you will see here basically, which are put automatically when the class is created. These are your instance variables. Notice these are your instance variables that you created. So how you created a label 1 of type label 2 of type label message again of type label, the button English, button Spanish, button print, and button exit all of type labels. These are your instance variables. Just how you would declare, and they're all private. Notice how it's put private in front of it. You have private, public, In C Sharp, there is internal. Instead of protected, there is internal. And one more, right? So these are the access specifiers. And where is the code that we were changing the properties? If you click on this plus, here is the code. So you will notice that there is a method called initialize component. Keep this in mind because I just relate it to something when I write the code. So here is a method called initialize component, which is basically doing all that you did. Notice how you are creating new. So they were declared, and then you create it here. It's like your constructor. Okay, it's like your constructor in Java. The constructor of the object. Remember what a constructor does? It is that special method that constructs an object. So your initialize component is that special method which is creating your object. So all your form, and here we have the form is your object. So you create all the objects inside it. And then the this.suspend layout is a type of a layout. You can have different layout managers. For now, we'll stick to this. And here, these are the properties you change for each of your object. Notice how you said font was this. Where is the location? What is the name? What is the size? What is the tab index? In a minute, I'll talk about tab index. And what is the text property? So all this code has been created behind the scenes for you. All you did was drag and drop. Right? All you did was, so here is the declaration. In Java, we usually write it before, in the beginning of the class. You will notice that in C Sharp, it is written at the end of the class. Doesn't matter. Remember, object-oriented programming says encapsulation is its property. So your data and methods are encapsulated in a capsule, right? That's why it's called encapsulation. So it doesn't matter. Even if you shake a capsule, it's still inside it. So it doesn't matter where you place it, whether at the beginning of the class or at the end of the class. So they place it at the end of the class. And then here is this special method called initialize component, which is what you should call. This method should be called as soon as the form is loaded, because that does everything about the form. Right? So keep in mind that there is a designer.cs file behind the scenes, which is basically the code which is automatically generated for you when you create the design file, when you create the design of the form by dropping it, dragging and dropping. So it's happening. There's no magic in it at all. So if I went here and I change the name of my label message to say label message 2, it will also change it in my design. So usually we won't touch this file. We'll keep away from it unless we have to come and do it, because why would we do more work if we can just drag and drop and do it in the properties? But it can be done. So as programmers, you should know that there's no magic going on. We all know it, right? There's no magic. I don't know how it works. You can never see it. You always have to find out what's going on. If you are the programmer, you should exactly know what your code is doing. Okay? So you may have to come back to this, and I'll show you how or why. But otherwise, leave it alone. You may not even open it. Don't even bother to open this file. Okay, so my design is ready now. We'll close this. Remember, the program.cs has the main code, which is basically saying run form hello world, run it for me. So basically it's calling the constructor, the opening and the closing bracket. It's calling the constructor of the form hello world class. Now where is that constructor and what's going on? In a minute I'll show you. So you've created a form, you've designed it, you called it form hello world. That's all you did, you just designed it. Now we have to see where is its code. What is this statement? New form hello world, opening closing brackets. Remember from Java, it's calling the constructor of the class. So where is the constructor and how does the form come up on the screen? Now let's look at that, right? That's where we want to code. Okay, so how do we do that? There are a few ways to do it. You could go here and say view code. So you are in the design, right? I'm here, I'm in the design. I can say view code, and there it is. Let's look at the default of what it has put inside the code. So let's look at a few things to start with. You see some using statements from 1 to 9. Some of them are grayed out, and there is one which is kind of highlighted because that's the only one I'm using right now. So what is this using statement? Using, you can relate using to import in Java. You are saying import these packages. So it's called using here. If you've done C++, it's include in C++. So what are you saying? You're saying, please include these namespaces. Please use these namespaces in my code. So why are all other grayed out and only black? Because all I'm using here is basically the form class. Notice it's only the form class I'm using. So it only wants, so you could have here, if you don't use it, then you will have to qualify it everywhere. Then you will have to, wherever you use the word form, you will have to say system.windows.forms.form. So to avoid that, similarly in Java, why do you say import this package? Because you don't want to say java.util.arraylist. You just want to say arraylist. Same concept. So if you want, you can remove this using statements, but then anywhere you use a class, you'll have to qualify it with its complete namespace. To avoid that, why should we do it, right? More work. So why should we do it? And it's more neat, it's more organized. Just use the class, use the package that you want up using the using statements. So it's put some for you. For right now, the only one that you're interested is in the forms, the system.windows.form package. Okay. Now let's look at what did it do for you. It created a package called lesson hello world. It's the name of your solution. Right? Your solution has the same name and your project has the same name. So this solution name, you could have more than one projects in it, but this is your namespace, like your package statement in Java. So it says this code belongs to the package called lesson 1 hello world. So if you wanted to use this in some other, you would say using, and then you would give your package. What does it have? It has a class definition. So look at it. It says the class is public. We all know what public is. You could use it wherever. It's available outside the namespace also. It has the keyword partial in front of it. Why partial? Because your form has two parts, the design part and the coding part. Both of them together make your project, right? So since there are two classes that join together to make your form, you'll always find the word partial here, and you will also find the word partial in your designer.cs. Okay. What is the word class? The class means it's a class you're defining. It's a keyword. And then the name of your class. The name of the class will be, we changed it. Remember, it was called form1, and I don't want to see that here. We changed it to form hello world, or whatever convention you're using hello world form. The colon says to what does it belong? What is its type? It is of type form. Okay, so the form is a class belonging to system.windows.forms. That is where it belongs. This form class, see, notice, bring your mouse over it. It says the class is called system.windows.forms.form. Represents a window or dialog box that makes up an application using. So if you want to remove your using statement, go ahead and remove it. Then you will have to say system.windows.forms.form. Both work. Whatever you like. I don't mind it. It's up to you. I'll go the lazy style. I'll keep my using statement and I then don't have to qualify. So is this line clear? It's like any other class definition that you do in Java. So this is the opening bracket of the class. This is the closing bracket. If you like to make, I usually try to always comment my code so that I don't forget. You know what I mean? Like it's easy. And what is this end of your namespace? You can say of namespace definition, of class definition. At least if you write something like this, it helps you to remember what it is, right? So that's the end of the class. That's the end of your namespace. And if you like here, this is your constructor. You recognize the constructor just like Java. Public specifier. A constructor has no return type. No return type, not even void. It's just a special method. The name of the constructor is same as the name of the class. This constructor is not taking any parameters. You could always have parameters. When we start writing our own code, we'll see that we can overload the constructor. You can have more than one constructor. Guys, stop me if any of these words are Greek, right? You've heard all these words in Java: overloading, public, private, class, all these keywords. But if you've forgotten, please clarify. It's better that you know what I'm talking about. So the constructor is that special method in the class definition that is used to create objects of the class.
I haven't taken Java, so.
Oh, okay. What kind of object-oriented programming have you done before this?
Just C#.
Just C#? You know the terms like constructors?
Yeah, no.
Okay, so that's fine. These other students have taken Java before, so I relate it to Java, but if you've taken C# before, you're okay. right? So we have a constructor here. This constructor is that special method which will create an object, and it exactly does that. Notice inside the constructor, what is the call I have? Initialize component. Remember, I just showed it to you. The initialize component was a method in the designer.cs which was creating everything, your form and render. So now try to make a connection one by one, one at a time. This is the program that is called when you say run. What is it doing? It is calling the constructor of the form hello world. This is calling the constructor. Notice new. New means create an object. And when you create an object, what do you call? The constructor. Okay, where is the constructor? The constructor is right here. The constructor is right here. This is it is calling. So when it is calling the constructor, this method gets called. Where is this method? This method is in your designer.cs. There it is. And this is that method that is doing everything for you, creating the form, putting buttons onto it, whatever. The whole form is getting ready here. This is the initialize component method. Right? So can you make the connection? So when you run program.cs, main method runs. The main method calls the constructor of your class. The constructor of the class is calling the initialize component. The initialize component is creating the. So when you run it, the form appears on the screen. So that's how it is working. Right? So you have to know how it works so that when you write your own code, you know, oh, I have to write a program.cs. The program.cs will have a main. The main is my main method. From the main, I can do whatever I want. It's the same concept. Here, it's the same concept as you do in any object-oriented language. Okay, so done. So we can close this one just because we don't need it. The design one is complete. So let's save that one. The program.cs, hopefully we don't have to look at it again. I'll close this one. And that's my code. Right? So this is your code file. Doesn't do much, but that's what it does. Renders the form on the screen. So everything is okay. Okay. Now, how to make these buttons operational? The only thing that you can make operational on this form are the buttons. You can do nothing with labels. You don't make them operational. So this is what I want to do. When I click on the English button, I want the message hello world to appear in that message label. When I click, so now what are these click? Why do I calling them click? Because every button has events associated with it. Just choose one of the buttons like English. Choose events from here. This is events. This kind of a thunderstorm sign is an event. Choose it. These are all the events that are associated with the button. Now, will we be doing each and every one of them? Definitely not. But do they make sense? Yes. For example, look at mouse enter. Mouse enter means when you get your mouse on the button. Mouse hover, when you're hovering over it. Mouse leave, mouse move, mouse down, mouse click. There's so many. The one that I am trying to code is the common event called the click event. There. So when you see, when I choose the button, by default, the click is chosen because this is the most common event that you write for a button. But that doesn't mean you can change any of the others. You can write an event handler for every event of the button. We are not going that far. We'll just write the click event, right? Now, how do you do it? There are a couple of ways. So we'll start with the easy way, and once I show you the easy way, you can also do it. You can also do it. But the easy way is this. Double click on your English button. Double click on your English button. Notice how by default in the code file, a stub has been created for you, an empty stub, your method body, right? Let's look at its signatures. It says it's a private method, right? The button click only belongs, like it's a method that only the form is concerned with. So it's a private method, does not return anything. The name of the method. Notice what it did. It took the name of your button. Remember we called it button English underscore click. It's a it's just a convention. So the event is written, the name of the event is written after the underscore, and the name of the control is written before it. Nobody says you have to do it this way. You can change it. You can call it whatever you like. You can change it. Oh, I don't like this. I want to call it English button click. Sure, change it. Nothing matters. It doesn't matter. Right? It's just a name. It's just a name. But when you change it, then you have to keep in mind that I have to change it somewhere else also. So I'll show you what. Okay. So when you did this, when you double clicked on the button, what happened was it created a stub. The stub was a method body. It's actually an event handler. This is called an event handler. In C# or even in Visual Basic, any kind of visual that you do, you will see that you'll work with, at least to begin with three things. Two, at least in the couple of first weeks. You will have to, one, the events. So one, the properties of your controls. We've already worked with the properties of the controls. Size and back color, forecolor, whatever, right? Those are the properties of an object. Two, you'll be working with event handlers, right? And as time goes on, we'll learn how to write more methods. So that's the third part, methods. We'll also learn how to write delegates, anonymous inner classes, and so on. So we'll go on. But right now, we are working with two aspects of objects. One, the properties, and one, the event handler. Right? These are two that I'm working with right now. Okay, so we've done properties, and this is our first flavor of event handler. So the name of the event handler has just been created by using the name of the button underscore the name of the event. There are two parameters that come to an event handler. Notice their type. Object, any object. Like in Java, any object, right? Just the common object. And it's called sender. The name, the parameter is called sender. You could change it to sender1 if you like. Really doesn't matter. And two, the event arguments. So what are these two? The sender, as the name suggests, is which control is calling this method. So who will be the sender of it? The button English, right? So when you click on it, the sender object will automatically get button English. Event arguments. Event arguments are the additional information that the system, that this method event handler needs for the event. It's automatically done. You don't have to worry about it, right? So event arguments are the extra information, is the extra information that is passed to this method when you click on the button. So every event will have its own event arguments, and it's all done behind the scenes. We don't have to worry about it. Now, where is this relation made? Where is this relation that when I click on the button, this method will happen. This method will be executed. Let's look where this relation has been made. Very important. Otherwise, you'll say, how's it doing it? How's it working? Okay, so let's go back. One, let's go back to the design, and let's go back to the click that you wrote. Notice? So when you double clicked on it and it created that stub for you, it took the name of that event handler and added it. So now it knows that click event is associated with the button English underscore click event. That's all. That's the only association. It sees, oh, that's what will happen. But where is the code which says take this event handler and wire it and join it and associate it? It's called event wiring for your information. Okay, and wire it to the English button. Let's go back to that designer.cs, which I've told you not to change. Okay, let's see here. What was it? English button. Come to that English button code that you in the initialize component. Come down to your English button. See the statement that got added? You see at line number 75? This is the wiring that has taken place. So in your designer code, so in the design view, you see that the click event has the name of it. But that's just visual. Remember, it's all visual. Behind the scenes, it has to do the wiring, and it does it. So where is it wiring? It is wiring right here. Notice what it has done. It has said that this button English.click method, so this event handler, you are going to create a new event handler, and you are going to call it button English underscore click, the name of the method, and you are going to associate, wire it with it. So now you're using the system class. You will notice that using system will become black wherever you use it. So this is the wiring that has taken place, right? This is the wiring that has taken place. This is called wiring of the event. This is the statement I'm looking at. And just for your information, light bulbs like this one will show you potential fixes to issue in your code. I'll show you what will happen. Things will happen when you start working. You'll have a little bit of problems. Maybe you double clicked on something when you didn't intend to. So as soon as you double click on something, it will create a stub. You'll say, oh, I was wrong. You will try to remove that stub. If you remove that stub, please remember to remove the statement from it. So then otherwise you'll have a problem. Okay. So I'll show you just to show you the errors. So this is where the wiring has taken place. There is no magic. So what is it saying? Anytime the user clicks on the button English, notice how it said button English.click. So it has said that the click event for button English is associated with this event handler called button English_click. It's the name of the method in your code. This is the name of your method in your code. So here is where your wiring has taken place. So that's how it works. So now when I click on my English button, when the program is running and I click on it, this is what will happen. You'll say, what? Nothing happens here. So that's exactly what we'll have to write. What happens? Okay. So if you want, you can say of just for yourself. And now put a comment here. So what does happen? So message appears in the message label. That's what happened. That's exactly what you want to do. Bless you. That's exactly what you want to do. You want a message to appear in your message label, right? That's what you want to do when I click on the English button. Okay, so what do I do now? What is the name of my label? Remember, message label. We call it message label. Now, why? See how it makes it easy. As soon as I start typing LBL, IntelliSense, it gives me everything that starts with the word LBL, and it's easy to find it. If you had called it a message label and you started typing M, then you'll have everything that starts with M. This is sometimes it is irritating. You can shut it off from the options for your information. But here, as soon as I start typing LB, because I know the name of my labels start with LBL, I start LB. I don't remember the name maybe, but I know they start with LBL. As soon as I do that, it comes up. It helps me. It's called IntelliSense. You can select it by doing, I think, spacebar or the tab, both, right? So what do you want to do with it? Think about it logically, then I'll complete it for you. What do you want to do? What property of your message label do you want to change? What property? You've already worked with these properties, right?
Text.
Text, perfect. What do you want to do in it? What do you want to assign it? Hello world, right? So take your label message in its property called text. Right? So you can use the tab, you can use the space bar. It will select it. Assign the value, hello world, or whatever you like. And put a semicolon. That's what you want to do. So what is your event handler method doing? The event handler says when the user will click on the button, click, right? When the user will click on the button or do an Alt-E, both ways, same thing, right? Or do an Alt-E, this event handler will execute. Why will this event handler execute? Because this connection has already been made in your code. This is the event handler for the button click. That connection has been done, that wiring has been done, right? Not by magic, that wiring has been done. And when it happens, the label message text property will change to hello world. That's it. Let's try it. Let's see if it works. Save it. Execute it. The English button should work. So do an Alt to see your, click it. There it is. It works. Does something happen in Spanish? No. Does something happen in print? No. Does something happen in exit? No, because we haven't coded it yet. Now, how could you make it better? You could put it in the center if you like. So we can take the text align property and say it's center, just to make it neater. You could have given it a different size, and you can do it at both places, right? You can do it in your design if you want. You can do it in your code if you want. Both, it will work in both. So let's exit it. Let's close it. So if I wanted to in my design, if I wanted to say that my label message text align property, notice how it is saying top left, choose the center, middle center. So you can either do it here or you can write it as a statement. What will be the statement? Label message dot text align is assigned the value. Whatever works for you. But you should know both ways of it because you should be able to make the connection. So if I was doing it here, I'll do it like this. And now when you run it and you say English, click on English, notice how hello world is coming in the center. You could give it a different font, you could give it a different color, you could do anything you wanted. Anything you wanted, and all you have to do is with this properties here. So if I wanted to give it a different 4 color, you'll go to the property called 4 color. There it is. Change it from black to whatever you like. Or the other way is go to your CS, to your form CS, and here I could have done the same thing. I could have said LBL label message. Its text align property is assigned the value. What did we do? Middle something, right? Middle center something. Okay. No, okay, something else then. It will have to be something more. Let's see if it helps. Text align gets or sets the alignment. It just maybe needs a better, it just needs a more qualified form. That's what it happens. Sometimes you just have to give it a more qualified form, like the whole thing. I think it was only called, that's all it says, the text associated determines the position of the text within the label. It says middle center here, but this middle center will have to have some qualification. That's why I usually do it here. It's easy. You don't have to bother about it, but you should know about it. So the middle center is not working. It's saying something. So it's not doing it. So there has to be something else in front of it. System.drawing.content alignment. Okay. Enumerated. System dot something it said system. You just have to know these few things and it's just more work. System dot, what was it saying? Enumerated it said, no. I forget now what it was saying. Enumerated, no. Alignment something. Oh well, I'm going to find out afterwards. I'll leave it from here. It's more work here, but you have to just qualify it. Something you have to say system dot some property dot something and then middle. Right? It's just a bigger name, but you have to be. I mean, when you start doing it more often, maybe you will get used to it. I usually set these properties in my design, but it can be done. There's nothing wrong in it. Okay, I'll find out for you when you do your in-class assignment. I mean, I'll just tell you how to do. So that's what is working. So what do I do in the Spanish button now? Go back to your Spanish button. It's just because it's easy. I don't have to worry about it, right? Double click on it. And do the same thing here. We'll say in English here. And we'll say, so you can copy and paste if you like, but I mean, it's up to you. It is the same kind of I think it was, we don't have our Spanish guy here, right? Nick isn't here today. I think it was hello. And if I'm not mistaken, that's what was in Spanish. Hello world was that in Spanish when I looked it up. That's what will appear. You'll say, okay, what if I want to clear my label? Like I don't want to see anything. But you don't have the option, you don't have a clear button. You could add a clear button and then you could clear it. How will you clear it? You will just say is equal to nothing. Opening closing brackets is one way. There are other ways of doing it too. I should, right? The Spanish button will work now. Let's write the exit button. It will work, try it. So do English, do Spanish. Oh. Control S. Button print. Oh, wrong button. It's gone into button print click. See, I clicked on the wrong button. Okay, so something in my design is not right. I double clicked on this instead of this. Oh well, doesn't matter. Take this from here. We need the print anyway. We'll do it here. It went into the wrong click button. That was associated with button print. I clicked on the button print and put the code in. So wrong place, what happened? So we'll do something in print. We have to do something in print. So we'll come back, try it again. And English and Spanish. English and Spanish. So if there was a clear button, then I could click on clear and it would just remove everything. Not so tough to do. I'll show you how to do it, right? This looks quite neat right now of how it is aligned, but if I put a clear, I'll have to put it somewhere. We'll do it, no big deal. Okay, so now since we are on it, let's double click on our exit too. Okay, so what does this do? This closes the application. Remember, all this wiring is going on. So there are a few ways of doing it. You will notice that there is an application dot exit or close. I think both are available. Yeah, there's one. There are a few ways of doing it. Right? There is an application dot exit. There is a this dot close. Right? A little difference between the two. The close only closes the form. The application dot exit closes the complete application. For us, it doesn't matter because you only have one form in our application. But if there were multiple forms and you only wanted to close the form and not the application, you would use this dot close. You can do that too. Just for your information, you can do that too. So you can leave this, or it's called this dot close. This means that's the form, right? You can do this too. Of course, you won't do both, but you can do this too. So the difference between the two is the close method is being called with this. This means the current object. What is the current object? Your form. You're just closing the form. Okay. So the event that gets happened when you close a form is there is an event. Form also has events. Form closing and form closed. Actually deactivated, form closing, form closed. That's the sequence that is happening in your form. So use whatever. Right now, it doesn't matter to us because our application, we need to close the application also because this is the only form in our application. Use whatever makes sense to you. When you start writing bigger applications with different forms and you want to close a form, you will say this dot close. When you want to close the application, maybe on the last form or something, then you will close it, right? So whatever you like, really doesn't matter. So this is close the application and this is close the form. They're two different things. Keep in mind, they're two different things. So whatever. I'll leave it here. We won't write both. It doesn't make sense, but this is another way of closing. So commonly you will see that I usually do a this dot close in single form ones, or in multiples, I kind of take more care. Here it really doesn't matter. I use them interchangeably. What is this print? What is this print now? Now here is the use of the power packs that you hopefully have in your extra power packs that I got installed last week for you, right? So I created, remember I gave you an exe file, or if you downloaded it, you ran that exe file, then you created a tab, added a tab here, and you chose this items. There is a print form. If you double click on the print form, this print form, it's a control that doesn't appear on the form, but appears in the component tray. Right? So notice till now, whenever we have been double clicking on a control, the control has gone on the form. So this is a kind of a control that doesn't have a physical existence on the form, but you will notice it appears as, this is called your component tray. It doesn't appear physically, but what is it? It's basically allows you to print your form. So notice how it is saying, it's called print form 1. You don't have to bother to change its name. Print action, you're printing to printer. If I was to go to and print it on the screen or print it to a file or print to preview, I would just change it here. And now you will see that when I say print, it will print the form on the screen. So if it was print to printer, it would go to the printer. If it is print preview, it will come here. Right. Now, how do I say do this for me? Okay. So remember, we've already clicked on the double print. So double click on it again so that you come here. And now you have to do something here, which I necessarily don't remember off my head, but this is what you want to do. That print form 1 that you just created, right? You want to call its print method. There, that's what you want to do. It's as simple as that, I think. That's what you want to do. This is what you want to do in the click of your print. So you're using that component print form 1 and calling its print method. You've already changed its property from print to printer to print preview. Yes.
They're in the exe file for the power packs.
Did you add a tab and did you add choose items? Did you run that exe file already?
Yeah.
Did you double click? Okay, now first we'll add a tab and call it and give it power packs. Exactly like I did. Okay, so now select it and say right click choose items. And then in choose items, go to your, and try to search filter on print form. Or comment on whatever. So you should have, if you run that exe file, if you run that exe file, you should see a print form there.
Alright.
And you will include it. Once you include it, it will appear in your tab. Okay? There should be something called I did a line shape because I think I'll use it. So I created it. So filter it and say print form. And then the C one. Click in front of it, select it. Oh, you don't have that checkbox. You already selected or something? Yes, yes, see, you have a checkbox here. You should have a checkbox too. Why is not here? You got to put something and delete it afterwards. Choose IDs is what you should do. So, yeah, see that will appear. So, let's see. Why is that checkbox not? That's strange. Let's say reset and see. Oh, maybe, oh yeah, maybe we are not seeing. Oh, there you go. Thanks. You're not seeing it. Oh, there. Yeah, now you appear. Okay? Yes. Oh, the power bags. Have you done that exe file? No, exe file I gave you on Blackboard. Did you run it? Did you double execute it? Or so now we'll all do these. So we'll add a tab and then call it power packs. P capital. Notice how it is called here. Let me do it. If you are missing this, let me show you how I got it, so that all of you do it with me. So if you go to your, where were we? In the design, right? If you go to your toolbox, please follow what I did. You do a right click here and you say add a tab after you've run the exe file, and in that tab call it power packs, exactly like I have called it POWER P capital packs. It's kind of finicky. I'll just call it PP because I can't call it again. Once you have that, I mean, I'll delete it afterwards. Once you have that, then you right click on it again and say choose items. In your choose items under .NET Framework components, you can go down if you like, or you can say filter and you can say look for print form. See, and if you can't see the checkbox, which I just realized, this is how you do it. So pick up, you could have two of them. Pick up the one which says C colon something, where you have installed it or whatever. Here, see, C programs. So my global one is also on. I don't know why. I don't remember what directory is this. Oh, it's coming. Oh, that's the cache. That's okay. No big deal. So you'll see something called seed/program files and so on. Select it and say okay. I'm going to do a cancel just because I don't want to do it. So once you run that exe file of power packs that I gave you or you downloaded, add a tab here by going right click, add a tab. Then again do a right click and say choose items. In the choose items, look for print form in your list. In this list, look for print form. You can kind of come down if you like in the P part or just filter it. So it will be in P. So I just did a filter. I said, show me anything that starts with print. So that came up. In that one, choose the print form which has the C colon address in front of it and then say okay. Right? And you should see it. I'm going to delete this just because I don't want it. So call it power packs exactly with P and P capital. I remember in 2013 it had messed up. So I didn't even take a chance this time. When I was trying to install it in 2013 and I didn't call it power packs, or there was something, power blank packs, something, it had to be called something. I messed up. So I just followed instructions this time. I just said, okay, let's do what they tell us to do. So I haven't tried anything else, okay? So maybe it works with PP also. I don't know. I didn't try it. I had quite a mess in 2013. So here I just followed instructions. I called it Power Packs as it was said in the document from where I downloaded it. And then of course, whatever shapes or whatever you wanted to add. I added a line shape. A line shape is simply, I mean, as the name suggests, I mean, I don't need it here, but if I double click on the line shape or I kind of go it here, see, it will kind of create a line here. That's what the line shape does. That's what it does. Okay. Though lines can also be created with labels. You can create a label, give it a border and make it very thin. That's what it does. So that's what the line shape does for your information. So that's what you have. Okay, where were we? Where were we? Oh, the print thing. So notice what I've done in my print. I've said print form 1.print. Now again, I won't remember it, but anyway, let's try it. So again, please put a comment here, print the form. On the screen, we are doing a print preview. So we, instead of saying print, we'll say preview the form. That's what we did. If you don't, then it will go to the printer. So whatever printer it will go. And again, the property that I set there, you could have also set it here. And again is the problem of that property. What was it called? What was the property called? Print action. I remember the property, but when you assign it, you again have to, oh, here, see, here it helps. Here it helps. So something like this should also have been in your text alignment and I would have known what to do. So here, if I select this one, and all I have to do is dot print to preview. I remember this because this is easy. So again, the same thing. You could do it here if you like. So this action, remember I've done it in my design. Remember this here, look at its property. There is a property called print action, which I've changed to print to preview here already. I did it here in design because it was easy, but you could do the same in code also. And how do I do it in code? Same way, print form dot print action is equal to system dot drawing dot printing dot print action and dot print to preview. Who can remember such a big thing? But if you notice, as soon as I said is equal to, it gave me that option and I was able to do it. So here it was easy because the option was there with text align. I wasn't able to do it, and therefore I can't remember it off my head, so I left it alone, right? I don't know why it didn't help. It should have. As soon as I say level message and I say tab and I say is it text align, it should help me, you know, actually. When I say equal to, it doesn't help. Oh, now it is. It's saying content alignment. Maybe try it, content alignment. Yeah, okay, dot. Oh, it's called content alignment. You don't have to say system dot something dot something. Because that's what I kind of thought, because that's what I've used. I thought it would be, I would have to mention a whole namespace. Nope, I don't have to. All I have to say is content alignment. And what did we do? Middle center, I think, right? There. Now we have it. So you could do it in the property. I've already done it in the property, but I just wanted to show you, you could do it here also. So now to see what this content alignment is, you can always bring your mouse over it. It's an enumerate. Oh, it does belong to system.drawing. Why is it not saying system.drawing? Because I think it's done a using up there. So it is system. It has to be something system dot. The namespace has to be there. But it didn't show me anything because, so what is it? It's an enumerated. Notice enum, it's an enumerated constant. Middle center is an enumerated constant. What are enumerated constants? Names that you give to constants which make it more easy to read. So it's an enumerated constant and see specifies alignment of control on the drawing surface. Right? So there it is. So it was there, except that I didn't know what it was called. And it would have, see, notice how it's made it black. Remember it was grayed out when we started? Now it's saying using system.drawing. So I didn't have to say system.drawing whatever, which I was kind of looking for, though I didn't remember what it was called. Now we'll remember drawing, anything to do with drawing. So it kind of included or used that namespace, and then from that namespace, it is using the content alignment class and it is setting a property. So it should be an enumerated class, I think, from what I can put 2 and 2 together. Right? It is an enumerated class. So you can do this here also. You can do this in Spanish button also. And you can do this in your English button also. I mean, it doesn't matter. I would like you to use both kind of. You should be familiar with how to do it in design, which is much easier, but you should also be able to do it in code if I say, please do it in code. It's just a property. Think about it. It's just a property of your object. So you're setting it to something. That setting it to something may take a while to figure out, though it wasn't. It was already highlighted. I wasn't paying attention to it. I was looking for something system dot without realizing. And here it highlighted this one. System dot drawing dot printing. So now what I want to do, if I kind of just import this or use this, then I don't even have to give the whole thing here. I can say dot print action. And maybe I can. Is there a system dot drawing dot printing is what we need? Okay, I could say using and remove it. I could do that. You can say using system dot drawing dot printing. Let's try it. It's not a big thing. Let's remove it from here. Oh, I should have done okay, let's put it here. Let's see if I can do it. It's just a namespace. And let's put a colon here. And then I won't need it here. See, I don't need it now. So can you make relations? Can you kind of understand what's going on? It's just some packages being included. There's some namespaces being included. The using, so what did I do? I removed it from here. I removed it from here and I made a using here. I said using system.drawing.printing. I used the namespace and I then didn't have to call. You could have qualified it here, but it doesn't make sense. You know, you don't want to do it at two places. Like, what's the sense of doing it at both places? So please think like a programmer. See, it's graded out actually. It says you don't need it. You're already doing a using with it. When I didn't have a using, I needed it. So hopefully it makes sense. And if I comment this out, it will become black here. So you use namespaces, and then once you know the namespace, which hopefully will come with time, then you use whatever class you want to use and then whatever method you want to use. Right? So print to action dot. I don't need this if I don't have to. I was expecting it to be enumerated again because these names is what it is specific. It's an enumerated class. Okay? Alright, so now everything should work. Let's see. Now everything should work. I'll give you a break in 4 minutes as promised. Okay, English should work. Spanish should work. Print should work. This is your printing. This is what it has done. This is what print does. Prints your form. I did a print to preview, so it's doing it here. If I had done print to printer, it would have gone to my office on my printer. That's the default printer. Right? So that's what it is doing. And exit should, did we say? Yeah, we did it, the exit too. And exit should close the application. Works. Right? And with exit also try, please also try, instead of application.exit, also try this dot close. Both will work. They should both work. As far as I remember, they should. Right? Since this was the only form in the application, when the form closed, the application also closed. If it was a multi-form project, you will notice that the form will close, but you will still see a red that the application is still running. Like, how do I show it to you? Let me see if I can show it to you. See, notice this red one. When the application is running, you will see that red. When the application stops running, you will see that red thing goes away. So for me, since I only have a form, closing the form is same as application.exit. System says, well, there is nothing else to do. It closes the application. But when you start writing multi-form projects, you may close a form, but that red will still be on because application is still running. Maybe there is some other form which has not been closed. You know what I mean? So keep that in mind. For us, it's the same right now. So as soon as I do an exit here, see, that red thing will go away. Application is also closed. That is another way of checking, is your application running in an infinite loop? Something is happening, your application is not closing. How do you think, very quickly in 1 second, how do you think I can add a clear button here on my form? I want to clear my button box, my message box. Take a button. Now it's kind of, I'm trying to put it, I mean, I don't have much space. I could rearrange my buttons, but I'm just doing it here. What would you like to call it? BTN clear will do. What would you put? What is the text you would like to put on it? Of course, you would like to say clear and shorthand key. Please don't repeat any shorthand keys. You can't have two buttons with the same keyboard access keys, but I haven't used clear anywhere. I haven't used C anywhere. So I'll go and C clear. Its size looks different from the others for sure. 114.31. You can change the size right here. If you remember, we can place a button in the center. There was a center, place center horizontally. There, that's the center horizontally. So not the best of the interface now because of this clear button. I should have placed this clear button, maybe I can still do it because it's to do with what are you doing with the message label. This is another thing you could do. You could place it here. Then you will just have to increase the size of your form and do a few things. Since it's kind of related to the buttons. And another thing you can do. Notice how they're not equally spaced. There is an equally spaced, make vertical spacing equal. There. It's as easy as that. So please see that the interface you give me is neat, clean, and clear. What did I do? I selected all three together and I said vertical spacing equal. You can do that. Right? And now, just because they are this way, I can kind of maybe move this a little. This looks okay, it's by chance. So I'm kind of trying to place these two between these three, just to make it neater. That's all I'm trying to do, okay? That's just there. So what have I done? I've kind of, all that is handling my message labels are on one side and the print and exit on the other side. There is nothing wrong in putting clear in the middle, but again, as I said, this is all how you see it, and this doesn't appear to be in the middle to me. So center horizontally. It was not centered. Because I increased the size of my form, right? That's why. So you'll have to do some centering, guys. There. Now it's centered. Not even a minute. And all this will be marked. You'll have marks for this. Your user interface, how neat it is, how clean it is. I want to do it, right? Okay, now, double click on the clear button now. And say clear the contents of the message label. And what will you do? All you have to do is take your label, message, and assign it. And its text property. And assign, there are a few ways. This is one way. You can do it like this. Or just for your information, you can also do something like this. The string class, empty, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, there it is. You can do this too. Or for your comments, you can also say is equal to, just for your information. You can do this also. So string.empty, bring your mouse over it. Here, string is a class, belongs to the system namespace. Using system you've already done. Represents text as a series of Unicode character. And this method, empty, it's a field actually. It's not a method. Definitely it's not a method. There are no opening and closing brackets. It's an empty, it represents the empty string. This field is readable. So you can do this too. String.empty, empty is a field. Remember your length of your array in Java? When you wanted to find out the size of your array, you use that length, which was not a method. It was also an instance variable. Same way here. It's just a field. It's just an instance variable of a string class. Whatever makes sense to you. Now when you do it, and you go English and then you go clear, it will clear it. You go Spanish, it will clear it. So you just have an extra functionality. Right? Today I'll stop here in the sense we will talk about the tab buttons. I could show it to you, but notice if you use your tab button, tab key, what is it doing? It's going to English, then to Spanish, then to print, then to exit, then to clear. That's how it is moving. We can even take care of this. If you wanted to do this from English to, what is this default nature it has taken? How you added the controls to your form. That's what it has done. But very easily, you can change this. Now, the difficult way of changing it is this. There is a tab index property with every button you've written. What is it called? Tab index. There it is, tab index. And this kind of defines. So let's see. Tab index of the label is 0 because that's the first one you added. Of this is 2. Because I added my name afterwards. This is 1. Then this is 3, this should be 4, this should be 5, 6, and 7. Notice how there is no tab stop property of a label. You never stop on a label. Do you ever stop on labels? No, you only stop on inputs, like input controls. But these buttons have a tab stop property. So if you wanted, a difficult way was doing this. This was 4. So this is 3, this is 4. Make this as 5 instead of 7. Change it here, 5, right? Make this as 6 and make this as 7. Don't worry about labels at all. It doesn't matter. So this is a difficult way. I'll show you an easier way, much sensible, right? But this is what the tab index property is. Tab index says what is your order in the tab format, and the tab stop property says true for buttons because you want to do tab on them, and labels do not have a tab stop property. Okay. Now run it again. Now run it again, and notice. Use your tab key. Notice from English to Spanish to clear to print to exit. Top to bottom, left to right. Top to bottom, left to right. That's how you set tab properties. This one was easy, so I'll use the difficult way. When the form becomes difficult, I'll show you the easy. Okay? That takes care of our first example. There are more things. Oh, and check if your Alt keys work. Do an Alt E. Do an Alt S. Do an Alt C. Do an Alt X. Your tab, those are also working. Your Alt keys are also working. So they're called keyboard access keys because you're accessing it through keyboard. So you can access it through the mouse by clicking or doing it the same. It's the same thing. And that shorthand thing will come to me. I will. When I see it, I can't remember it now. Anyway, I'll look at it when you, right? So that's your first form application. What do you have now? 9:20. When do we finish? 10:50. Right? 10:50.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So take a break. 15-20 minutes. Come back. Do your first in-class assignment. I want to mark it and finish. I'll put it on Blackboard. You will download it. Okay. Yes.
I'm having a problem
All right.
Yeah. Just say yes. I need that update. Did you download this from Dreamspot?
Yeah, I thought this one was good, but originally Rust gave me.
It's an ISO file, right?
Yes, it's a massive file.
Yes, if you're running the community edition.
This is the community edition.
Yeah.
This was the one that he gave me.
Yeah. So do you know how to run it?
Yeah, I know how.
It's an ISO file. Did you have a?
I can mount it.
Yeah. Did you mount it and then do it?
This one is just very precious. That's what it started. This one.
Yeah, but did you mount it?
I have to mount it.
Yes. No. You were not here. Yeah, I just use some virtual phone drive. I use a virtual phone. You have a program that can ISO files?
Yeah.
But Winzip will only unsync. This is an ISO file.
I feel like she's trying
It works okay. I did work for me. I see it's an ISO file. I had to mount it.
He's not possessed.
With my ISO files, I always mount them using software program, and then I run them. This is what we did last week. Okay, so let's I with an ISO file, I always mount it using the software program. I use virtual.
Maybe installs to play.
Let's see. I've never done it this way. I've always mounted. And now, if it asks for updates or whatever, just say we didn't have it. I didn't have any problems. But if you do have any problems, that would have given you the name of our tech assistant.
No, yeah, one did here.
But it should work.
Originally, I had
It's almost required.
Yeah, but we have this option of downloading it and installing it.
Yeah, this weekend I had to always,
Started.
we wouldn't go now because.
And that one is both. The one on Green Spot says the Green slash.
Yeah, like the kids, I don't know why they try to pick one. No, that's.
Back on that and then, yeah, make it work, yeah.
You know, they don't spit out properly, like, do We know how it is. It's like $30.
It was pretty good.
It's good.
Let's go to.
Yeah, no shit. More advanced version. I totally do this. And you wouldn't have to pay for rent, so it's nice. Because the thing is, it's been proven it's not haunted anyway, so. Well, I mean, the only time there was ever haunted was when the original people stayed there. Not the people over there. They think it's yeah, yeah. If it's like never happened again, not even before someone. I think it is someone trying to capitalize on it, and they just don't continue. Unless it was like one haunting, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Haunting.
Yeah.
Or it's gonna kind of filter out.
I was like really too long. Twitter and
Well, they got almost 2,000 hours.
Well, I was going to do it have like one screen. Select
There is a game today.
So it's a search.
Well,
Well, let's still read your.
I'll customize it and I'll change the screen.
Also, I see.
So it actually works with slash.
Yeah. Are you ready?
Good job.
Oh, yeah, that was still. Close.
Right.
I think, okay,
That's the old one.
sorry.
Right, we can start with that.
I'm gonna start this one.
I'm not sure if that'll like.
Well, we might just end up being happy for it, but.
Well, I was just doing this on the side, and I just don't think I started to hear. I just done it. Right?
Yeah.
So.
You know, I might do it in the future. So it's good to have it. I think those different.
And then I'll keep designing new tiles to the game, the game and progressing.
No, but yeah, I want to get like a lot of tiles. I would go to package them up and have like a structure with them. And then switch feature.
Actually, one thing we can do, one of the patch that works right now, just loads tiles based on ID. Change those every tile, every no player exception with the white tile. The white tile is basically my catch and all water exception.
It's the first one on
First one is works in text. But really, what is
it might be all tiles. Image package for like tile walls. Then
I can make a great idea as well. ID and walkability and, but that can easily be adjusted. Right. Like if you want, there could be queries to that. It can be, it can be, if name not contains all group calls or something. So like a array list of the talents.
Yeah, of course.
But I got my buddy yesterday. It's like about the old times.
Do you know who still happens?
There's an achievement if I pass like
For,
yeah.
because I think it's like that you're wasn't area, you're spray.
I have a sweetie one today. That missed their call to arms. I guess I did smarter.
Because I gave
But then, me and Austin.
Basically, I can tell you that these shows, it's just random list for interest.
I tried to put an AI in the chat. The new idea is to make
Champion right there, so maybe you're crouch. No problem. I wanted to get all the trade going up to this channel. I'll let you know this.
Oh, hi, John. That's me. No, I'm going out. No.
They already are leaving. No problem. I'd love to. Different kind of teaching.
Yeah.
All we have friends have we used to. Yeah. When I was before,
What happens when you go to also the forest area? I don't know.
Okay, ready guys? So on Blackboard, is everybody back? I think 1 minute to go, maybe 9:40. Okay, so on Blackboard, so please do this, download it, and then I'll remove it because the other section, I don't want the other section to see it beforehand. You know what I mean? Because it's an in-class. Such a bad, because of this projector, everything on my screen is weird. Like I can't recognize my own laptop. Okay, so under assignments, give me 1 second. I think I've hidden it. Under in-class assignments. So please work on it individually, okay? It's not a big issue, like it's not as if it's rocket science. It's based on what I think we've done. And item is not available. Okay, so there is a docx file. So you download it, and then I'll remove it. And please, it's just for, like, just to be that we are fair to everybody, do not share it with students of the other section. I know you have it, you can, but. Okay, so you should see an ICA 1 under assignments, in-class assignments on Blackboard. Do you see it? It's called ICA 1, in-class assignment 1. There is a document file, download it, follow instructions therein completely and correctly. Once you complete it, please call me over to mark it. I want to see it. Don't forget to submit. You always have to submit, guys. You always have to submit for record purposes. Or what if I marked it and I forgot to put your mark? Something like that. It's always a safe thing to do, okay? Please submit the ICA1 yourname.zip via the above link. So once you are done, right click, zip, send it on, submit on Blackboard. Okay. So open up the document file, just so that we quickly go through it, so that you understand what my expectations are. Okay, so complete this assignment in class and get it marked before you leave class. Please submit it on Blackboard too. Ensure that your name, date, and purpose appear in the code file in the comments at the head. Oops, I forgot to tell you, though it's the same as in Java. You can put comments with double slashes, or you can put it between star and slash. Same thing, okay? So see that your name, purpose, and date are right at the top. I should have done it to my bad. I forgot. That's the first thing you should do, right? Please create a form as shown below, replacing my name by your name. The form should be placed in the center of the screen when the application is executed. The form should not be resizable, and maximize button should be disabled. We've done everything in class, right? All buttons should have keyboard access keys as shown. We've just done it. Please follow instructions regarding the names of the controls, their properties, and their functionality. So this is what is happening. Quite similar to what we've done. When you click on books, something will appear in current promotion, something will appear in promotion code. So there is a label, promotion information is a label, Anju Chawla is a label, current promotion is a label, promotion code is a label. Only labels for showing information. These two are also labels. Look at their size, right? And what do you want to do? I've kind of said what I want to do. I've given you the main form should be called form main. The text should be R and R for reading and refreshment. Start position should be center screen. The books button, the music button, the periodicals buttons, I've given you names and everything everywhere. Right? So all your properties are here. Now what happens? Here is your procedure. When you click on the button books, it should display buy two, get the second one for half price, and code should be B608. So basically here the message appears and here B608 appears. So there is a code and there is a message. Okay, does it make sense? Right? So very similar to what we've done. Very similar to what we've done. Now the comments is the only thing I missed, and definitely you don't have to miss it. So this is how you put comments in your code. So you can put it wherever you like, before you're using, after you're using. And in Visual C#, there are two ways of doing it. Choose whatever makes sense to you. So usually at the top, I usually go this way, because it's block commenting. So I'll put my name, and I expect you to do the same in every assignment. I'll put the date. So today is not August, sorry, September 14. 2016. And then what is the purpose? Please don't say in class 1 or in class 2. What is the purpose of what I did? To display hello world, to display a message in English and Spanish. Right? So you can kind of make it a little more better. You can say to create a form. So your purpose should always be neat, complete, grammatically correct and everything. Okay. Assignment given by Anju is no purpose. We want the purpose of your code. So to create a form with labels, it will be very similar to what you are doing with labels and buttons. Code event handlers for buttons. You could even copy and paste, right? And here. So that's the purpose. So that's what I want from you also when you do your assignment. That's what I meant by name, date, and purpose at the end. So you can use the normal slash and a star, begin with a slash and a star and finish with a star and a slash. It's called block commenting. And the other way of commenting is the double slashes, which is called line commenting, which I've used at a couple of places in my code. Okay? So that's your job to do. You have 1 hour to do it. So do it. And if I'm unable to mark it in class, you will submit it on Blackboard. I'll mark it next time. So when you do some other assignment, I'll come around and look at this. So that way we are not wasting any time at all. Okay, you get my idea of in-class assignments. So it should be done, completed, finished in class. If I have time, I mark it in class because some students work, some finish. If not, the next time you do your second in class, I mark your first in class. You can all your students show me the form. Because there's not much to see in coding. There's not much to see in coding. You realize so that's your in-class time. Minimum of 5%. Okay? Please work individually. I'm here to help you if you want. You can ask me questions. But it's your individual. There's no rocket science. We just finished all of this like 20 minutes ago. Anybody who would like to work in groups, though I won't recommend it because creating an interface is your job, right? You can't create an interface in groups. You can't say I'll create half and you create half. You know what I mean? But anybody who wants to work in groups, let me know. It's better that you let me know instead of collaborating, which is not allowed in an individual assignment. Any problems with anybody? Are we okay? Okay, good. Go ahead. Finish it off. You have an hour to do it.
I can do.
Yes, we can. I have a question here from Stacy. You've done it 3 times and it's not working. You know what's going on. What was the other version first when I done? So what did you download? Community? Oh, the free one. This is from Beanspark now? Yeah. Okay, so how did you do it? Who was saying? Randeep was saying that you had unzipped it, right? And then just ran the exe file. Anybody else who did that? The ISO file that came, you unzipped it and ran the exe file, executed? I usually mount it. What have you done? You mount it. That's what I do with ISO files, but I don't know. Randeep was mentioning you could unzip it using 7-zip or WinZip and then just run it. I've always mounted my ISO file. That was my understanding. I never even thought about anything else. But that's good to know. Then it's much easier, right? All you do is unzip it. Yes. Do you want to work together?
Yeah.
But creating a form, how do you kind of learn to create? You know what I mean? Design a form to
Yeah,
work
that's what I was
together.
thinking.
Because it's kind of difficult.
I was thinking about you have a question like how do you access this?
Yeah, sure. Then you can. But creating a form, working together makes it a little difficult. Unless you say, okay, I'll put 2 words and you put 2 words. That would be difficult. Yeah. So I would like you to work individually, but if really there is something really that bothers you.
So design your
Yeah.
that's not
The designer.cs. Don't worry about it. But this is a design. Right? So these are the 2 that we will work with.
Is there any social form?
Yeah, remember, and I have all these conventions are in your document file. Open your document file. Yeah, so for now, notice how I've said it should be called form name. Right? So follow those conventions. So guys, I've given you what your form has to be called, what your labels have to be called. Everything is mentioned there. Please see that you follow it. To begin with, that's how we'll do it. And then maybe when I say create your interface yourself, then it's up to you. You know what I mean? Like, then we let it do. So please follow instructions. I will be looking at it. I'll be seeing if you've got your form name or whatever. Okay, so because you can change it there before you start it on that. Okay, so go to form1.cs, go right now, go reading, and say your current name. Yeah, and it will say the name. Started before the button. So let's see if it's set with the yeah, it's everywhere. Okay, right. So please follow what I've said in my document, okay? I've told you what it needs to be called. It's right here. You can't miss it. So for this assignment, I'm particular. I want you to call it form name, the text R and R for reading and refreshment. The others are what we did in class: button books, button music, button periodicals, button copy bar, and so on. And I haven't given the shorthand. I didn't want to give the shorthand here to show you how it is done. You will do it. It's in the interface. They all have shorthand keys. Yeah, because I think you double click it before you change this. Okay. Okay. So now what you do? Okay, come back. So you could. Okay, you could change it here. See how they're saying button 3 and all this. Okay, so change its name here. Change it to the same kind of convention, button print. Now, okay, now go back to your design. Go to the print button. Guys, don't be in a hurry to double click your buttons without renaming them first. If you do it, a stub gets created. And the stub will say button 3. I'll tell you how to change it if you are interested. So I'll show you right? So just to show it to you. Because you're doing it, you're in a fast mode, right? So just for the heck of it, I'm going to create a button here. I forgot to change its name and I double clicked on it. So notice how it's called button 1 click. Makes no sense. I have no clue what button 1 is. So this is what you can do. You can change its name here. You said, oh, sorry, I forgot about it. Like you can change its name here. I'll just say example here. You change it here, but you have to be very careful that you have to now go into the designer.cs and you'll have to change it in your wherever it says, there it is. See, you'll get an error. Here it has wired it to button 1.click. You'll have to change the name here also. So be careful about these things. And if for whatever reason you say, oh, I don't need this button anymore. So I'll get an error. See, I'm getting an error. Because I messed it up. So you have to, therefore I said, be slow, okay? Be slow. So you can remove the button. If you remove the button, remember to go and remove this reference method. But you remove the method, you'll have to take care that all references are same everywhere. So that kind of 3 files you have to be aware of. The designer.cs, hopefully you will not mess it up and you won't have to look at it. The design, the actual visual design, and your CS code. But if you mess up, call me and I'll help you to figure it out. Did you get it, Shiva? Yeah. So change it here, change it in your designer.cs. If you remove anything, remember to also remove it from your designer.cs. So take your time. You can do it in 1 hour. There's no hurry. There are only 5 buttons and 2 labels. And to help you, like you don't even have to think about it. Excuse me. Guys, all your sneezing has got to me. Here, see, you have the interface. You don't even have to put a lot in effort. You don't even have to think about interface design. I've given it to you. So 6 buttons, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 labels, and you're done. Something that students don't keep in mind. I want the promotion to be completely visible. It should be a big enough box to show me my message. I don't want messages to be half cut off. when I mark it, there are two things I'm looking at. One, of course, your interface and it works. And two, I look at your code quickly. This is not a big code. So your name, date, comments, everything. It's doable in 1 hour, don't worry. It's very doable.
I accidentally.
Oh. That's another thing